welcome to 974 Live. My name is Abla Sibak and I'm here with...
This is G Valentino, and today we are joined by someone very, very special. She has extensive experience in the telecommunications industry, Executive Director of Marketing, Chief Commercial Officer, Chief Consumer Officer are just some of the titles on her CV. She's also a co-founder of many technology startups in Qatar. Today we are joined by Fatma Al-Kuwari. We're honored to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's our pleasure. So Fatima, we're going to play a little game.
Sure.
We're going to say 5 words, okay? And you say the first word that comes across your mind against this word, okay? All right. Qatar.
Love.
Education.
Passion.
Social media.
Addiction.
Also my addiction. Ooredoo.
Love again.
Motivation.
Ali, my son.
Aww, so sweet. G.
Freedom.
Life.
Family. You can't say love.
Love. Life.
Life.
Yeah.
Spirituality.
Or maybe family is support.
Support.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
support.
Spirituality.
Important.
Youth.
Future.
Technology.
Passion.
Sorry. Wow. Yeah. Okay, so from here on, we're going to ask you questions, okay? And just be very honest with your answers. And my first question would be, what made you decide to study computer science?
Oh, back in high school, I think, where we started studying computer in general, and I owned my first computer when I was like 15, 16 years old. The passion around, what's in this machine and how it actually connects us to the world, the internet back then as well. Despite the limitation back then, but it was interesting for me, how can I learn more about this? And back in the days, computer science was still a very new major in the Qatar University. So I thought, I'll take that path and study it a bit more.
And you did?
I did, yes.
And then what made you move on forward and get your MBA in marketing?
After graduating with computer science from Qatar University, I joined Qtel back then, which is Ooredoo now, the telecom company. And I've worked in the commercial sphere, so in the marketing department. With my technical knowledge and the experience I gained by work in marketing, I love self-development, I love continuous development and learning. So I thought that I've gained a couple of years of experience in marketing, but I don't have the education that supports this basically. So I then decided that I'll back it up with education, and I went and took my MBA from Liverpool University, specialized in marketing.
In Qatar?
While being in Qatar, I did it online.
So you were studying and you were working at the same time?
Yes.
You were doing it all at once?
Time management is important, but again, very honestly speaking, back in 2008 or 9 when I started my master's, being a mother, I had then started my first business as well. So it was really a challenge juggling all these balls together. I felt like being in the circus for some time. It wasn't easy, but I've learned a lot about prioritizing. There's a lot of time to do many things, but it's about priorities and taking the time to do it in the right way.
Wow, mashallah. So you're studying, working, a new mom, just getting married, right?
Yeah.
Wow, all at once. We gotta learn from you.
Thank you.
Well,
it wasn't easy, so I have a lot of learning from that as well, which is not to put everything in all together in one plate, but to take time and focus on 2 or 3 things at a time, and take the next.
And then move on forward. Okay, so before I move on to the next question,
sure.
So how are you? How are you finding solutions to these struggles that you were having, studying and opening a business and being a mom and being married? Who was your backbone and who supported you?
I think, should I answer?
Yeah.
I think it goes back to my choice of support for family, because family is there. So my father, my brothers and my sister, they all supported me in taking care of Ali while, I was doing everything else. So again, I think having the right balance as well. I try to make sure that no side in my life takes over the other, basically. And I'm always identifying myself as a mother, nothing else. Not a technology enthusiast, not by my profession or by my certificates or education. It's always that I'm a mother first, so that kind of defines the priority.
And then everything else came out after.
Exactly.
Okay. So my next question would be, how did it feel to be the first woman in history of Ooredoo Kuwait to be appointed as one of the board members?
I was thrilled, actually. My career is all in Ooredoo, so it was kind of a rewarding moment for me, honestly, and I was thrilled. Not only for myself and the position itself, which is amazing, of course, it's very prestigious and really nice, but because it also sends a nice signal to big corporations that ensuring gender equality, the representation of women on the different boards is important, and it brings a different perspective to the organization. So I was really happy to see this.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Were there any struggles? I mean, trying to make sure that there's gender equality in Ooredoo back then. I mean, did you face struggles?
See, when I joined Ooredoo 14 years ago, roughly, and Qatar is not different from any other country in the world where, of course, women are underrepresented. And back when I started 15 years ago, roughly, I was almost the only female, the Qatari female as well in most of the technical meetings. I wouldn't call it a struggle. It wasn't a struggle. I think in Ooredoo we have a positive working environment that encourages a lot of people to give their best and support specifically trainees and developers as they join the company. And I've had a kind of a lot of good support system within Ooredoo to allow me to go back and take advice and learn from many of them within the company. But the inclusion of women is a struggle globally, not only in Qatar, specifically in IT and technology. And even today, I think we've come a very long way since 15 years ago. Specifically, the rate of women versus men has increased significantly in Ooredoo. So we're much better now, 15 years later. But I would still like to see more and more females join the technology sector, and specifically in the technical part as well. So I'm always kind of trying to be an ambassador for this. I a lot of what I do is kind of encourage students in university or in high school to take a technical track in their studies.
That's amazing.
I try because I love technology is my passion. So excuse me. So I think and technology really can change people's lives. So if you work, it did, yes, indeed. And there is much more things in the future that I think are just mind-blowing. With the technologies that we see that are coming, when we talk about driverless cars or the IoT and machine to machine and all of this new kind of future that we've seen in videos when we were a bit younger, and the future of technology, I think is something that it's nice to be part of and see how it influences people and changes people's lives.
That's wonderful. I would definitely try to get into technology. That's something that I would never have been interested in, but the way you described it, then
you're already in a parallel kind of industry. Media is also,
part of technology.
Part of technology in a sense, yeah.
Okay, I want to get into some more details about what you do specifically, like day to day. So you're the Chief Consumer Officer. I want to know what exactly that means. Also, like you're leading in so many different areas, like day to day. So I want to know, like for Fatima, what's like an average day for her? And at the same time, like how are you, like at what level are you involved in, like in terms of decision making, and how involved are you in the details?
Sure. So the Chief Consumer Officer job is a complex one. It looks after all the commercial activities for Ooredoo. This includes marketing, brand and communication, planning and business management, operations, contact center, you name it, digital transformation. So it's a really complex part of the business. But what I love about it is I have a very strong team as well. So the foundation is there, the talent is there. And although it's a very talented people that I have in the team, it's actually also interesting the diversity. We have so many nationalities, so many backgrounds, and I'm learning on a daily basis from many of them as well. It's important for a leader or a manager to understand the importance of delegation. And I think that's the only way to be able to manage the day-to-day business in such a complex situation or setup. And I like to always kind of teach people or allow people to be taught in the same way that I learned. I've learned a lot by being forced into opportunities and giving the chance to actually learn hands-on, and I try to do this with my team as much as possible. So I encourage a lot of people to take the responsibility, be accountable. It's okay even to do little mistakes and learn from them and move on. So in that sense, I think it's important to kind of keep a balance of it's not good. Nobody likes micromanagement in a sense.
Sure.
It's giving people space while holding them accountable for their results and the timelines that they need to achieve things by. So I think that balance is important.
So from what I'm taking from that, obviously you delegate to your team, empower them to be able to do that. So where does your time go?
It's a balance between making sure that the priorities are met and the timelines are met, and managing the people per se, but also it's split into the strategic kind of goals and the long-term vision for Ooredoo as well. And I think the core job of any manager or leader is basically facilitating the job of others. My job is simply to just make people's job easier and to help them achieve their goals.
Definitely, it's one thing getting the talent, and then it's allowing them to be empowered and allowing them to work together as well.
Definitely. So it's having the talent but fostering them as well in terms of allowing them the space to learn and grow.
Yeah, I like that. No one likes a micromanager for sure. My next question is, you had great success in building the social media presence of Ooredoo. What strategies did you, because you mentioned this in your bio, you felt there was a change in the tone. What strategies did you use to change this for the brand?
At Ooredoo, we've reached a very important moment in time in the history of the company back in around 2013, where we've rebranded the company from Qtel to Ooredoo. So it was a really big move for the company. And as part of that, the revision happened to the brand and communication strategy, the positioning and everything around it. What we did is we took a different kind of angle and approach in how we are presented in social media, the tone of voice we use and the approach that we use. And I think back then in the days, we've done a very good job that, while I was managing the brand and communication for Ooredoo, we've reached back then in 2018 roughly a $3.4 billion in terms of brand value. So we've seen the work and we've put in place, and we're talking about a brand that is available in 10 different countries across Southeast Asia, North Africa, and the Middle East. So it's really a very kind of proud moment for all of us to see that we've put the hard work, we've put the strategies, they've actually come into place, and we've achieved the goal that we had in mind.
That's amazing, because must have been a big task.
Definitely, but very interesting. And working with diverse teams from 9 other different cultures is really interesting as well.
Were you part of that?
Yes, I was part of the brand and comms team that led that initiative. Yes.
That was like a big deal. I was always wondering why from Qtel to Ooredoo.
Yeah.
Can you tell us why or no?
No, definitely. Of course, as you know, Qtel is the Qatari telecom company here in Qatar. And we've acquired different companies across the Southeast Asia, Middle East, and North Africa. So we had 10 different brands operating in 10 different markets. For a brand to be strong, globally as other brands do, we have to have a single strong brand and a single name.
Yes.
And we were the national brand here in Qatar, the national brand in Tunisia, the national brand in Indonesia, and so goes on for the other 10 countries. So, we took a very lengthy exercise of, taking inputs from the different markets, understanding the cultures, the languages, and making sure that we chose a brand that will fit in across all the different markets. the color, the shape, everything, you know, it was a lengthy exercise, but was a beautiful one. And, you know, the results that we've achieved, you know, looking at Ooredoo today, it's one of the top 50 telecom brands across the world. So,
yes,
you know, we know that what we did is the right move for
it
the
paid
company.
off.
Yeah.
It paid off,
Indeed,
right?
Indeed.
So, working in a big telecommunications company, did you face any struggles throughout your 14 years as you were growing from position to position?
I don't see them as struggles per se, but it's always an area to learn or develop. Through my career, you know, I started as a product manager in the functional area of B2B, and then I was part of the team that launched the BlackBerry service. I don't know, back in 2007 or 2008. Yes, so I was leading that project, and I was really happy, you know, to be able to test the first phones before they were even in the market. You know, was being a tech savvy, it was a big shot, you know. So it was really nice to be part of that and seeing how this tool of communication changed people's lives, changed the way we interact with each other. After that, I was part of the team that launched the brand of Virgin Mobile under Qtel as well. So again, bringing that knowledge and that experience. Then I was appointed as the public relation director, which is, for me, it was a kind of a big diversion from the technical savvy kind of to, you know, being on the soft side and being the, you know, kind of the public figure of the company and dealing with media. So it was a really interesting experience, and I've learned a lot from that, you know, very honestly speaking. Post that, I had the opportunity also, which is a very rare opportunity for many of the Qataris here in Qatar, to actually be part of the Ooredoo group. So I was appointed here in Ooredoo group as the executive director for marketing. And that exposure, I worked in the group for 4 years. So I was exposed to the 10 different markets. I was responsible for that, you know, the marketing function on all these markets in coordination with the local teams there. So that you know, kind of shaped the kind of strategic overview that, you know, in operations here you don't usually get it. And then just last year I was appointed back in Qatar as the Chief Commercial Officer here in Qatar.
Wow. Inshallah, you've been through it all in the company.
I think, and this is a key, I think, for people watching us. It's always key to not say no to opportunities or challenges because you're afraid or it's not your area, or, you know, it's always good to kind of expand your horizon and take that maybe sometimes bold move. But of course with calculated risk, so, you know, don't jump into an ocean without a life jacket, but, you know, do it in a calculated manner. And the results and the returns are really worth it, very honestly speaking.
Yeah, definitely. But I was looking at the bio and I was like, so technical background to executive director of marketing. You don't normally hear that, because, like you said, it's like almost two sides of the spectrum. And I'm sure you didn't have all of the skill set developed when you joined the company. But it's very interesting to see how you moved around and the advice you gave about actually not saying no and allowing yourself to develop.
Yeah. And I think the marketing function in a telecom company is quite unique in a way that it's actually techno-commercial as well. You still need to have a technical background and understand technology and per se to be able to actually communicate it and understand how to you know, take that message forward to the community.
Now, how did you manage your time doing all of that? And
as I said,
your son now, mashallah, he's a teenager. Yes. Does he want to be like you?
I'm glad. See, with kids, every year there's a new choice of career.
Ali,
so you
never, Ali,
Ali, yes.
Ali, oh, okay.
So for now, he's into computer science and engineering, but that's for now.
You never know.
You never know. We've had history of different careers and different options. But, you know, I would love if he joins, of course, being a technology lover. I would love that he joins that too. But I would support him in anything that he would choose.
So you're a good parent.
No,
you're a wise parent.
I think it's always part of, and again, follow your passion. That's very important, because if you love something, you need to, you're enjoying it. It's not a job anymore. It's not a, there's no burden per se in what you do. If you love what you're doing, it's actually excitement. You're going every morning to something you love and you enjoy. So it's a different kind of approach.
You just answered our next question.
Oh, really?
Yes. So what is your passion and what advice can you give to people in order to follow their passion?
Sure. I think my passion is very
technology.
obvious.
Right? Technology.
And I think the most important piece of advice I would give, based on my experience and on my own personal journey, is kind of accept certain things in life. Definitely, challenges are always there. Life is not easy.
No, it's not. Yes.
Life is not always delivered to you with a golden plate.
Give
definitely.
And take.
And I think one key message as well is rejection is a diversion as well. So if you fail in something or something doesn't work out, it doesn't mean the journey ends. It's actually just a diversion to a new path and a new destination. And there's always something to learn from. And if you don't make mistakes, if life is just 100% easy, something is wrong. It's not enjoyable.
Yes.
The journey has to be enjoyable as well. And I think that's the key thing. Have a very clear goal. What is your passion? What do you love? And then have a plan. How could you reach this? If you want, for example, for me, leaders are readers. So and that's a big advice I want to give to everyone basically watching us, is you have to continuously develop and keep encouraging yourself and pushing yourself to read books and read in the field that you're passionate about, because that's if you don't expand and you don't develop, then you are basically going backwards. This is we live in an area that there's information populated every second across the world, so you cannot of course digest everything around this, but have a focused area that you want to be powered in and really focus on, and continuously have a kind of knowledge development in that area. And it doesn't have to be reading. I push myself to read. I don't like reading.
Me neither.
But I read sometimes. I listen to audiobooks. I listen to podcasts. So I try to get the knowledge from different sources as much as possible. Despite that, I don't like reading. So you have to also, there are some uncomfortable moments.
Find your own way.
Yeah, find the path that makes you reach your goal as well. Not easy.
It's not easy.
It sounds easy, but it's not easy. You have to really push hard to go through things. Some days are easier than others. Some days are a struggle, and it's okay. We're human beings at the end of the day. So, as I said, it's one example, for example, is this year. This year has been challenging on all levels for everyone. Personally, psychologically, physically,
emotionally, financially.
Really, on all aspects. So it's important to accept things. You cannot fight things. Things happen. You accept them, and then find a path out of that. Don't surrender and go.
Don't sit and dwell on it.
Exactly. Accept it. Be sad about it for a moment, but then go through the cycle. What's next? How can I find an opportunity in this challenge that I'm in? How can I move forward?
Absolutely. 100%.
Takes time. It's not easy, but you have to train yourself to do
and
this.
You're transparent about everything you're saying. Yeah, it's not like
it's true.
Stay
it's from
positive.
the
Gotta be
heart.
positive.
No,
you're absolutely right.
no.
There's negatives and there's positives.
No, definitely, and nobody can be positive all the time. It's draining as well sometimes, because you're faking it.
Exactly. Yes.
You don't have to be positive all the time, but you don't have to be negative as well. You could be sad, but live that moment, feel the feeling, and then move on. Take
Find a way out.
Take that energy to make it something positive and move forward.
Just gotta applaud that.
Thank you.
I agree 100% with what you're saying.
And again, it's important to have a support system, whether it's friends, whether it's mentors, whether it's people that you reflect with, people you trust to go back and share ideas and frustrations or pain points that you have, and how can you move forward. So again, the support system is key.
I think there's a lot of key points in terms of advice. a lot for our audience to take away in terms of from personal experience, but your understanding as well. It actually led nicely onto my next question, which was about continuous learning and self-development. We know you're an advocate for that. I think you talked about how you implement it in your daily life. And I think what stuck out for me was about understanding yourself as a learner. Like you don't necessarily have to learn how other people learn, but ultimately with the advancements that are taking place, you have to keep up to speed in whatever way works for you. So that was amazing to hear that.
And it's much easier now, you know, with the internet, with access everywhere. It's much easier to find the content you'd like to consume in the way that you prefer to consume it.
I think Elon Musk is creating something that attaches to your brain where you can access information on the go.
Wow.
But I probably won't.
Is that true?
Yeah, no. Like, you know, like you access the internet, whatever, there'll be like a device.
A memory card or something in your brain?
Something. Okay. But I'll probably let it be tested a few times before I... yeah, because it's like an implant. It's like a body modification, but it allows you to access information like before other people or something. But yeah.
Is that out?
No, not yet. They're developing it at the moment, but we'll see what happens with that. Tied into the continuous learning, the mentor versus content. So some people like to focus on theory. Personally, I don't like to do that. But what's your stance? Because some people are like more for the mentor or the on-the-job learning and the experiences. Some people are more towards theory. So where do you stand on that?
Interesting question. I think you'll have to have a portion of both. They're two different things, but you'll still have to, you know, the mentor brings the kind of reflection, guidance, sharing experience from actual, you know, sharing learning from actual experience.
Yeah, real life, yeah.
But I don't think that it substitutes 100% the kind of book learning and the content as well. But it goes back to the point earlier, which is, you know, you decide on how to consume content and how to take it. So I think I like both in a similar manner. I think it's a 50-50 for me.
Yeah, I think we noticed that because, mashallah, you went on to do your MBA and also you did your executive masters as well. So you did pursue the education route, but also you have the experience to
definitely. And I think it's, but I've learned to take it at a slow pace and not do everything together because it's just overwhelming as well. So, you know, I just finished my executive master's from Georgetown University in the US last May. We just graduated.
Congratulations.
The Corona edition.
Okay.
Congratulations.
But thank you very much. So I'm you know, taking it easy now, not immediately jumping into the next kind of learning opportunity. But in parallel, you know, I continue learning or reading basically and enjoying, you know, kind of the knowledge bits and pieces that I get from podcasts and books.
I think it's a common theme with a lot of our guests, like the success stories come with a nice balance.
You know, a lot of people don't believe in education. There's people that they believe in, like we say in the States, the hustle rather than the education.
For me, I think it is, there is still a lot of value in a kind of a formal education, book learning, certificate, kind of structural, theoretical knowledge that you get from a university or a training center. And I think there is definitely, it gives you kind of the foundation, you know, that you really build on. And a lot of the times that I love, you know, going and giving some lectures to high school and university students about choosing their career path in general, but also choosing which kind of choice they will study in the university. So, you know, I always kind of use myself as an example. I studied computer science, I work in marketing. So even if you study a certain discipline at university, it does not mean that you're kind of restricting yourself from other jobs in the workplace. And the kind of, you know, bachelor or certificate that you get is kind of a structural way of learning. It gives you a lot of skills that you can apply in many different fields in the future. So that's kind of how I see it. I'm sure there are other people that see it a different way, But that's how I see it. Continuous learning and development is important.
I agree with you, yes. A lot of people don't, I mean, whatever they study in college, they don't necessarily work with their degree. And currently right now, I studied psychology and I'm doing something completely different. So yeah, I believe what you're saying 100%.
Okay, so you talked a little bit about public speaking in terms of giving back to the youth at like high school, university level. Why do you do that? Why is it important to you? And the second part of the question really is what do you think the challenges are for the youth of today that maybe like when we were younger we didn't face?
I think giving back to the community is a key responsibility for all of us. It's kind of a personal, social responsibility in a way. And being a mother of a teenager as well, I understand the importance of having a role model and hearing people's experiences as well. It can have a really big impact on the youth and their future. So I think I do this for that reason mainly. The challenges of this time, I think it's maybe the diversity that people live in terms of access to information, new types of addiction with social media and technology and phones and gaming and all of that. There's always a positive side of it, but I think it's making sure that we didn't grow up with these technologies, so we've learned the balance in a way. The younger generation has come to the world with these technologies in hand, so it's important to kind of make sure that there's kind of educational and awareness to the young generation on the proper use of these technologies, the kind of parental controls from parents on monitoring and taking the responsibility of educating people, the young kids on how to use technology and how to make sure it doesn't take over your life, but you utilize it in the best way possible.
That's amazing. I think you were the right person to ask, because obviously your role and you're a mother as well. Yes. That's cool. Okay.
And I'm saying it from love of technology.
Yeah, so, exactly. Yeah, so you're on both sides. What I noticed in a lot of your responses, the responses were like a very entrepreneurial mindset, like very much so, like don't say no, try the opportunity, self-development, all of this stuff. I'm really interested to know about the tech-based startups that you were involved in Qatar.
Sure. So I think part of the learning and knowing yourself is key. I started so many startups, tech and non-tech, starting 2008 maybe, and then 2012 the first tech startup. But again, time management and juggling so many balls at the same time as well. Although I started maybe 4 or 5 different companies, 3 of them are still live today. But I've learned that my scope and my strength is not really being part of the operational team and working hands-on with them, but rather, being kind of still a mentor and advisor to the working team, and giving that kind of advice on once they have a marketing plan, I'll have a look at it and advise on things like this, but not be really in the day-to-day business. And I've also learned, of course, after being an entrepreneur, about angel investment, and I've become myself an angel investor, supporting many startups here in Qatar, and taking actually about 10 or so, taking their business to the next level. Right. I love entrepreneurs and I love startups, and I love providing the support, whether monetary or non-monetary, in terms of advice and direction as well.
You do help them also with their marketing strategy and give them advice.
Definitely.
That's amazing. So you're still involved in the entrepreneurial scene, but just in a slightly different role.
Exactly.
Amazing. That's me done.
Okay, I have one question left, but I also I shouldn't ask anymore, right?
We're on like 1 hour, like a lot of it.
No,
needs...
you have
some of it too. Yeah.
You have so much information. Like, look, I didn't know you were a mom when we read your bio.
This adds 10 minutes. To
yeah. So when
is that a personal conversation for another time?
No. This is real to a lot of mothers or parents out there that they think they can't do it because, or maybe they have that guilt feeling that. Focused on work, I'm not there for, let's say, their football practice or whatever it is, and they always have, like, I'm one of those people, like, I have this guilt feeling and it takes me back a bit. So how, again, I understand that you said you balanced your time and everything, but you 10 companies and 3 other companies and MBA and computer science advising with lectures. MashaAllah, you do all of it. That's one point I want to talk about. And another point, so sorry. How can you control your children's technology? A lot of us are not educated about how we can do that. As a mom, my daughter, she's 3. I swear, I just bought her phone. Okay, and I do want to control her phone. I don't know how. And where can we find your, I don't know, course? Do you have YouTube? I don't know how we can learn more about parental control.
Going to the first questions, I don't do all of this all the time, or at the same time, basically. So, talking about the 10 startups, I meet each one of them once every 3 months or so, or some of them once every 6 months, so depending on the need of that startup. So I'm not heavily engaged on a day-to-day basis. And I'm a very engaged aunt as well. So on top of my son, I love my nieces and nephews, and I'm the kind of fun aunt as well. So I think it comes back to quality time. It's not about spending 5 hours a day with the kids to be kind of relieved, but if you spend a 1 hour kind of dedicated conversation and really having some quality time without technology, without TV, without other things, and really having this kind of bond and relationship, whether it is your son or daughter, or whether it's your nephew or niece, or whether it's your partner or wife. So meaningful relationships is what matters, and I think having this dedicated time and focus and effort to make it work will definitely pay off. And the second part, I think, is, I forgot the question right now, but
parental control.
Parental control. Again, every system, every technology comes with certain setups that allow parents to actually manage it. One big mistake that many parents do is, they allow kids, for example, for all social networks, the actual legal guide for people to have accounts is 13 years old.
13.
You shouldn't have a 6-year-old on social media. So
that's very common now for 6-year-olds.
Commons doesn't make it right.
It doesn't make it right.
Exactly.
Yes.
And there are definitely some side effects of this. So I think it's like making sure your children wear a seatbelt when they're in a car. It's the same way. You don't give a device to the child at a very young age. I think even they shouldn't be having devices at a very young age. But once they're at the age where they need devices, then you give them the device. But after you've set up the time restrictions, or the phones go off at certain times.
He has time restrictions.
I have.
On his Instagram, it's like, okay, you've reached 1 hour.
No, definitely, it's healthy. On my phone, I have all notifications off. So whenever I am free, I go to the different applications and see what I have in terms of notification. They don't just pop up 24/7 in my face and distract me from everything.
You take back the control.
Yes, and that's important, even for adults, not only as parents. But you use it for your sake rather than allow it to invade your life in a way that is unhealthy.
Wow. Yeah, you're seeing my face. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got some homework to do.
Honey, I'm gonna get out of here and switch all notifications
She used to laugh at me.
Yeah.
She used to laugh at me.
Every time we're doing something on Instagram, time limit. I'm like, oh my God.
No, it's bringing back the awareness.
Yes.
It's important to be in control rather than be out
of your own phone.
Of everything.
It translates to many
Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you so much. Well, you can wrap it up, as I just want to say thank you.
You don't want to ask the last question?
Oh, what are your future goals?
Just briefly.
I think the future holds so many opportunities in different perspectives, and I think it's I'll take life as it comes. So depending on where the path takes me, I'll just follow that.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really had a great time with you. You shared so much advice with us, and mashallah, you're so intellectual, and you're a blessing to have around us.
Thank you, Abda. I was really having fun during this. As I was telling you off air, that this is probably the first setup that I had a casual conversation on camera, so it's really it was enjoyable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Follow us, you guys. Follow us and like and subscribe, and follow Fatma Al-Kuwari. Bye.